Hello my Loop friends, and welcome to the video all about the Playtime module.
Playtime!
A module is a piece of Loopy Pro stuff that you can use inside of a Loopy Pro audio unit. This Playtime module was made specifically for the modularity template, but it doesn't have to be used in the modularity template. You can just use it in anything. You can use it in your favorite template that you made yourself. It allows you to play notes. I started making videos quite a while back on this channel about how all these different audio units and all these different apps, they just have piano roll over and over and over again, and there's nothing wrong with the piano roll. People are familiar with it. It's nice and comfy feeling, but there are other ways that you can input notes into things, and I was really wishing that maybe some other people would think outside the box and start branching off into other different input modes. And not a lot of I haven't seen much action in that direction. But then I discovered that Loopy Pro would let me make my very own input mode screens, and thus Playtime was born. You can download Playtime from liveloopers.com under the goodies tab, and there is a bunch of instructions on how to install it and use it right there. And if you ask any questions in the comments, I can try to answer them and help you if you are stuck anywhere. This here appearing on your screen right now is the modularity template. As I said, you don't have to use it inside the modularity template, but the modularity template makes it a lot easier because things are already set up in there for you. I am going to swipe up on the Playtime button, and the Playtime module just pops right up. I'm going to pop the Playtime module down again for a second because I'm just going to show you my mixer and show you over here there is a Loopy Pro audio unit, which is set up as a MIDI channel, and all of these different audio units are set up to receive MIDI from that audio unit, releasing at the same time. There's a video for the modularity template which tells you that along this row that says instrument Y1, Y2, P1, P2 and all that those are different audio units, and I have one audio unit already selected. It is the light blue one called instrument B2. I am not going to, you can use the Playtime module with all of these different instruments, or with any audio unit as far as I know that makes sounds. If it generates sounds and it receives MIDI, then you can trigger it with the Playtime module. But I am not going to be using all different kinds of instruments. I am just going to leave instrument B2 selected and just show you everything just with that one instrument. Swipe up on Playtime. At the bottom of the Playtime module, you will see that there are 12 buttons. Those 12 buttons give you 12 different screens of different types of input that you can use. They look different. They have similarities, but they all look a little different, and they're all different ways that you can input notes. Those first three screens are just the familiar piano roll kind of. Chromatically, for one octave it'll be, and then the next three notes are these three up here. Exact same notes. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's kind of like 2 octaves plus a little teeny bit extra. And then when you do piano mid, it's got these purple black keys for medium octave, and then when you do piano high, it's got these blue black keys for high octaves. Kind of cool. But those are just, the standard piano roll. That's what we're hoping to branch out from and explore beyond. And one thing that I have mentioned several times that I have been eager to explore is called the Tonnetz chart. But I was stuck in my brain thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have any hexagons, we don't have any triangles, we can't make a Tonnetz chart. I was trying to figure out what could we do instead, can we do anything? And I discovered that there is a such thing as a right angle Tonnetz chart. So I'm going to skip the button that says Tonnetz for a second and just show you the right angle Tonnetz chart and the right angle Tonnetz chart 2. The only difference between right angle Tonnetz chart and right angle Tonnetz chart 2 is that the right angle Tonnetz chart button has 8 full octaves. Wow, an 8 octave range. That is nuts. And the right angle Tonnetz chart 2 has 3 octaves, but it's bigger, so it's easier to see and it's easier to press the right button. Because this, right now I have it at full screen, but normally you'd probably be using it at some kind of a smaller screen like this or something. And when it gets to the 8 octave range, it's nice to have that kind of a range, but the buttons are a little tiny. I'm going to pop it back to full screen for a second and pop it back over to right angle Tonnetz 2 chart to tell you about this particular right angle Tonnetz chart because it's a little bit different. On a Tonnetz chart, there will be sort of a diagonal divide where you will bump up an octave. And one thing that's beautiful about a Tonnetz chart is that it is isomorphic, so that if you know the pattern for a chord, and in this case a chord is just a key, the key that's to the right of it and a key that's down below it, that will be your root note, your third, and your fifth for a major scale. And for a minor scale, you just go down and over. You just go root note and down below it for your third and over for your fifth. So yeah, to get a fifth of any note is just basically down and over. So C to G, E to B, that kind of a thing. So handy, so cool, except that in a real Tonnetz chart, there would be sort of a diagonal thing running through it. And so if you see this D down here, G to D, it's kind of wrong. Kind of sounds wrong. Like if you see C to G, and G to D, that kind of, yeah, that didn't go up, that went down. The reason for that is because there were basically 2 choices I could make, and I had to go with one, and I tried to figure out which would be the least bad. The way that I actually ended up going was so that each of these pads of 12 just all live in the same octave. So this whole group of 12 will be the 3rd octave, and this will be the 4th octave, and this will be the 5th octave. Kind of, a good logical way to group it, but in a Tonnetz chart there will be this diagonal line running through where it would bump up to the next octave. So in each of these groupings of 12, this D and this F and this C sharp, those should be the next octave up in order to give you, your isomorphism, your shape that just travels the right way all the time. Basically I'm sorry if this is getting way into musical jargon, but what it means for you is that if you want to play this in an isomorphic way, if you want the sound to sound right, just realize that your D, F, and C sharp are always one grouping over. So this sounds good, this sounds good, but this, you need this D one grouping over, not this D that is right under it. So is your actual triad. As you work with this, it just sort of, you get it in your fingers, you get it in your brain, it becomes familiar. It's not truly completely 100% isomorphic because of that little anomaly where you have to go over one group to get the right D, F, and C sharp. I don't know. I did my best. But that is not the case in the actual Tonnetz chart that I was able to make, because at some point I realized I don't even need hexagons or triangles or anything to make a Tonnetz chart. All I have to do is skew the buttons over a little bit. Just don't put them right directly on top of each other. Just make them on a diagonal, and you can have a real and actual Tonnetz chart. And this is completely isomorphic. So if you learn a shape like your triad, your C, E, G, you can play your C, E, G anywhere you see your C, E, G. But you can also play like a major chord with that same shape anywhere, any downward triangle. Don't even have to think about it. You just pick a triangle and just press it, and you've got yourself a triad. And you know, you can extend it to a seventh. Oh man, if you are learning music theory like I am learning music theory, it's just, it opens up doors. You just go through doors and you just see more open doors, and it just makes your brain so happy. But it doesn't stop there, because then I had the thought, oh my goodness, what if I make this the two-hand button? Now this is kind of like a right angle Tonnetz chart where I fixed the C, F, C sharpness so it actually is isomorphic in these two different groupings, but the bottom grouping is lower octaves just playing octaves. So if I touch the C, for example, it will give you like a low C and then a C one octave up. So it can be like playing octaves in your left hand, while at the same time in your right hand it has fifths. It has like the root note and the fifth of that note. So if it's C, it'll like, if you press the C button, it'll give you a C and a G at the same time. If you press the G, it'll give you a G and a D at the same time. So the point of that is, you can have fun playing different like left hand, right hand kinds of things. I mean, this is just one example of the kinds of things you can make in Loopy Pro. You could just take it to whatever kinds of extremes you have in your imagination. But for me, I have just been playing around trying to just like, can I play two-handed piano-ish things with my one hand, like the way that I usually use my iPad? So like, I can just do like, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. Then it gets better from there. Check this out. Inversions. Are you kidding me? Inversions. An inversion, just real briefly, is like if you know a triad, like a C, E, G, and you just take that C and put it up an octave, so now it's E, G in the higher C, that's called the first inversion. And then if you take that E and move that up an octave so that you have the G in the higher C and the higher E, that's called the second inversion. It's a music thing. And it sounds a little bit like this. This is the actual chord. This is the first inversion, and this is the second inversion. You might not care about that or know about that, or you might think it's awesome or whatever, but like what's even more awesome is you could just make all these cool like Super Mario sounds without having to like become a super expert at inversions. You could just be like, oh my god, I could play around with that forever. forever and ever. It's so fun. So yeah, that's just inversions, and they're easy. After that, we have scales. That's right. We got C all the way to shining B. Scales where you can just, if you don't want to play a note that's out of scale, if you don't want to risk it, for each row, like this C to C, along the top it's your major, and along the bottom of that is your minor. And you want to play in A minor? Pretty easy peasy. I used it to just start teaching my daughter scales. It's an excellent teaching tool. You can just sort of look at it and begin to understand scales in a whole different kind of way. And the color coding is consistent throughout, I mean, minus those first 3 piano rolls, but for the rest of the places, it uses this whole rainbow methodology, so it gives you an extra level of like how to conceptualize music. You can conceptualize this music by the note names that you keep seeing, or by the colors, and all of it. Like, the more you use it, the more it begins to tie together in your brain. I'm going to skip over guitar for a second and just go to the second last, which is chords. These are just 2 circles of fifths. One is for major chords and one is for minor chords. But there's only 1 octave of that. I mean, you know, Loopy Pro, you gotta kind of like figure out what's the best you can do. That was the best I could figure out for a second. But then for chords 2, I went back and reused my right angle Tonnetz chart so that I could get more onto the screen. And now we have major triads and minor triads in octave 3, or major triads and minor triads in octave 5. So that's kind of a little bit like that left hand right hand thing going on, where you can work out chord progressions. You have like a little bit of a differentiation of octaves. And in the bottom row, you even have 7th chords, which just a whole nother level of sonic fun for your ears, where you can have major 7th in octave 3, and minor 7th in octave 3, and major 7th and minor 7th in octave 5. So same thing again, but just add the 7th on. Play around with chord progressions to your heart's content. We will go back and real quick look at guitar. It's the only one that sort of breaks the color coding. Cool thing about that, makes it really easy to transpose it, because again, it is isomorphic. So I just played that in F minor, which is what it actually is in. Axel F is in F minor. But say if I wanted to transpose that to D, I just started on a D, play the exact same graphical pattern. Very cool. That is the Playtime module. It lets you do all kinds of fun things, and I'm just getting started. I'm about to start making the Phoenix template, and I'm just gonna like expand and go beyond. Also, real quick, I'd just like to show you the fact that you can, if you use this with the modularity template, you can use these 6 sliders to make all kinds of effects on the fly. Which you might not want to do, or you might. I don't know. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you like talking about loop related things, you can subscribe to our channel. And do not forget that there is also a video dropping at pretty much now, same time, which talks about the drum module, which will let you do drum related things in a similar type of module. And there is the video for the actual modularity template. Lots and lots of awesome stuff to digest, and the Phoenix template creation videos begin soon. Thanks for watching. Loop on.